are still, come here. Happy birthday to you. So we have to have some celebration. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu.
Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 7th chapter. The son of Drona punished. Text 16. Tada suchaste pramrijami bhadre yad brahmabandho shira atatainah gandiva muktair vishikhair upahare Tvakramya Jat Snasyasi Dagdha Putra Tada Shuchaste Pramrijami Bhadre Jat Brahma Bandho Shira Atatainah Gandiva Muktair Vishikhairupahare Tvakramma Jatsna Shashidagdha Putra Tada Shuchaste Pramrijami Bhadre Jad Brahma Bandho Shira Atatainah Gandiva Muktair Vishikhairupahare Tvakramma Jatsna Shashidagdha Putra Tada Suchaste Pramrijami Bhadre Jad Brahma Bandho Shira Atatainah Gandiva Muktair Vishikhairupahare Tvakramma Jatsna Shashidagdha Putra
Tada Suchaste Pramrijami Bhadre Yad Brahma Bandha Shira Atatainah Gandiva Mukte Vishake Upahare Tvakramya Yasna Yasi Dagdha Putra
Tada Sucha suchaste pramrijami bhadre.
Tada suchaste pramajami bhadre.
Yad brahma bandho shira atatayana.
Yad brahma bandho shira atatayana.
Gandiva mukta vishikarubhare.
Gandiva mukta vishikarubhare.
Vakram yasnasya siddhanta putra.
Vakram yasnasya siddhanta putra.
तदा शुचस्ते प्रव्रजामि भद्रे
Tada suchaste pramajami bhadre.
यद् ब्रह्म बन्धो शिर आततायिना
Yad brahma bandho shira atatayana.
गाण्डीव मुक्तैर्विशिकैरुपाहरे
Gandiva mukta vishikarubhare.
स्वाक्रम्य यत्स्नास्य सिद्धपुत्र
Vakram yasnasya siddhanta putra.
Matajis,
Tada suchaste pramajami bhadre.
Tada suchaste pramajami bhadre.
Yad brahma bandho shira atatayana.
Yad brahma bandho shira atatayana.
Gandiva mukte vishikarubhare.
Gandiva mukta vishikarubhare.
Vakarma jasnaya siddhanta putra.
Vakram yasnasya siddhanta putra.
Tada suchaste brahmajami bhadre.
Yad brahma bandho shira atatayana. Gandiva mukta vishikarubhare. Vakram yasnasya siddhanta putra.
tada,
Tada
at that time only,
at that time only.
shuchaha,
Sucha
tears in grief,
tears in grief.
te,
Te
your,
your
pramrijami,
pramajami
shall wipe away,
shall wipe away.
bhadre,
Bhadre,
O gentle lady,
O gentle lady.
yat,
Yat
when,
when
brahmabandho,
Brahmabandho
of a degraded brahmana,
of the great Brahmana.
shiraha,
Shira
head,
head.
atatayinaha,
Atatayana
of the aggressor,
of the aggressor.
gandiva muktai,
Gandiva mukta
shot by the bow named gandiva,
shot by the bow named Gandiva.
bishikhai,
Vishike
by the arrows,
by the arrows.
upahare,
Upahare
shall present to you,
shall present to you.
twa,
Tva
yourself,
yourself.
akramya,
Akramya
riding on it,
riding on it.
yat,
Yat
which,
which
snasasi,
Snasasi
take your bath,
take your bath.
dagdha putra,
Dagdaputra
after burning the sun.
after burning the sun.
Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. Please repeat after me. O gentle lady,
O gentle lady,
when I present you with the head of that Brahmana,
When I present you with the head of the Brahmana,
after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow,
after beheading him with arrows from the Gandiva bow,
I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes
I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes
and pacify you.
and pacify you.
Then, after burning your sons' bodies,
Then after burning your sons' bodies,
you can take your bath
you can take your bath
standing on his head.
standing on his head.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. An enemy who sets fire to the house, administers poison, attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, plunders wealth or usurps agricultural fields or entices one's wife is called an aggressor. Such an aggressor, though he may be a Brahmana or a so-called son of a Brahmana, has to be punished in all circumstances. When Arjun promised to behead the aggressor named Ashwatthama, he knew well that Ashwatthama was the son of a Brahmana, but because the so-called Brahmana acted like a butcher, he was taken as such. And there was no question of his sin. There was no question of sin in killing such a Brahmana's son who proved to be a villain. Om Ajnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tada suchaste pramrijami bhadre Jad Brahma Bandho Shira Atatainaha Gandiva Muktoire Vishikhay Rupahare Tvakram Vajatsna Shashidakta Putra. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with the arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. So, the episode of Srimad Bhagavatam is beginning here. Like Sutta Goswami is giving an account of Parikshit Maharaj's background. Who is Parikshit Maharaj? And he also is saying, now I will start to describe about Krishna, because Krishna is very closely related to this family. The family of the Pandavas, and their cousins. Krishna's father and Arjun's mother were brothers and sisters. And so in that way they are cousins. Very close relationship, and on top of everything, as Krishna told, that Bhakto Sime Sakha Chiti. Arjun's real identity is that he's a Bhakta, he's a devotee of Krishna, and Shakha is a friend of Krishna. Therefore Krishna is revealing the secret of this transcendental knowledge. The transcendental knowledge is imparted to those who are qualified. Unlike this time, this knowledge was kept as a secret. Only at this age, this knowledge has become public. Otherwise, one had to be extremely qualified to receive this transcendental knowledge. Because it's not meant for unqualified people. But in the age of Kali, the situation is so hopeless that Krishna had to make this arrangement. Okay, give this knowledge to everybody. Not that everybody will accept it, but those who will accept, they will derive an inconceivable benefit. The benefit of just going back to Godhead. And the process is just chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And that is what is being revealed through Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavatam stream, the Puran, Bhagavatam is falling in the stream of Puran. The Purans is the narrations about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His devotees. And ultimately it's coming to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That arrangement was not there in other Purans. Bhagavatam is the ultimate culmination of all Puranas. Bhagavatam is the Mahapurana. And Mahapuran leads to that point of ashraya. Prabhupada translated this expression, Sanskrit expression, ashraya, as samam bonam, the ultimate culmination, the supreme shelter. It's gradually, Bhagavad Puran has got 10 aspects. Mahapuran has got 10. Dashalakshana, 10 symptoms. Other Purans have 6, 7, some have 5, but none of them have these 10 aspects dealing with starting from creation, sarga, creation. The first consideration is what is material nature, how it was created. Then Sarga, the sub-creation, Brahma's creation. First aspect is Vishnu's creation. Mahavishnu lying in causal ocean, and the bubbles generated from his breathing are an universe. There are innumerable universes like that, generated from his breathing. And then it goes to, like Brahma does the sub-creation of the universe. Vishnu does the creation, Mahavishnu, then he enters into each bubble, each universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then as the super soul of every living entity in the universe as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And then the secondary creation is conducted by Brahma. Sarga. Then Sthanam, the planetary systems. Poshanam, how Krishna is actually maintaining everything, how everything is being maintained. It's a natural consideration. Like we are seeing, everything is being so beautifully maintained. Now how they are being maintained? Accidentally, only a fool will say a thing like that. Like when we see nice arrangements, like say for example, the lights are there, generated from the bulbs. If somebody comes and says, oh, it's an accidental happening. I mean, will any intelligent man accept that? Now we see the universe is being maintained in such a beautiful way. Sun rises exactly at the right time. Seasons changing. And along with the change of the seasons, nature is changing. And all kinds of amazing arrangements. A seed falls on the ground and a tree comes out from that. And in that tree there are fruits. In the fruits there are seeds. In those seeds there are trees. In those trees there are fruits. In those fruits there are seeds. I mean, which fool will ever say that this is an accidental phenomenon? And if they say that they'll create something like this, then our simple offer, our simple challenge to them is, you don't have to create human beings. You don't have to create Frankensteins. You just create a grain of rice, a seed of apple in your laboratory. Will they ever be able to make such a thing? No. And so that is a simple consideration that, that so-called scientists claim that they'll create life is just a vain one. They'll never be able to accomplish that. Create life out of nothing, out of matter, no? Anyway, let's not get into that. Well, the thing is that Poshanam, the mystery of how they are being maintained. When you do not know, then we know that then it's a mystery. But when we know something, then we know. And our knowledge is Krishna is maintaining everything. He had this beautiful arrangement, starting all the way from Brahma in the universe. Then there are different demigods. They are controlling different affairs of this universe. And it goes on like that. Nothing is happening by chance or by accident. And sthanam poshanam utayo, the tendency to expand, generate procreation. Then manantar, the appearance of different manus. In a day of Brahma, 14 manus appear, and those manus are actually in charge of that period. Along with Manu changes the demigods. Along with those manus, each manu comes with a set of demigods, with set of sages, all these personalities. For example, in this Manvantar is known as Vaivashvata Manvantar. The Manu is the seventh Manu, is the son of sun god Vivashvata, Vaivashvata Manvantar. And in this Manvantar, in this Manu's reign, Indra is Purandar. The position of Indra is actually a position. But different personalities come and occupy that position. So in this Manvantar, Purandar is occupying that position of Indra. And in the next Manvantar, who will become Indra? Bali Maharaj. So, so these are the descriptions of different Manus, reigns, Manvantar. Then Ishanugatha, the narrations of Lord's appearance, different incarnations, Ishanugatha. Then Mukti, liberation, Nirodha, cessation of material existence. Cessation of material existence leads to liberation. We are bound in this material nature. That's why there's a consideration of liberation. So when that bondage or binding, when this captivity we become released from, then we become free. That means from material nature, we go back to where we actually belong. And then Ashraya, the 10th consideration, the Samambona, who is the supreme shelter? Krishna. And what is our relationship with him? The loving relationship. Relationship means based on love. There cannot be any relationship that's there if there is no love between those personalities. Hatreds do not generate relationships. It's the love that leads to relationships. So if we want to develop our relationships with Krishna, then we have to develop our loving relationship with him. And so that is what Srimad Bhagavatam is so emphatically pointing out, and Sutta Goswami is telling. And from now on, I'm just going to describe about Krishna and Parikshit Maharaj. Let me see. That also leads to another very beautiful verse that is described, that is Atma Ramascha Munaya. Like the question was asked, that it was mentioned that Vasudev imparted this transcendental knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. So natural question actually arose that Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul. So why did he have to undergo this endeavor of studying Srimad Bhagavatam from Vasudev? So here that point is Sutta Goswami is pointing out that even a liberated person who has become totally free from material bondage, Nirgrantha, those who are Atmaram, those who are deriving their transcendental bliss from their soul. In general, in material nature, we try to derive our happiness through sense gratification. But a liberated soul derives his pleasure from within his heart, from his soul. Atma Ram. Atma means soul and Rama means enjoyment. Those who are enjoying from their spiritual identity. Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki. So those munayos, those saintly personalities, those sages, although they are nirgrantha, although they are totally, granthi means bondage, and nirgrantha means free from bondage, that means liberated. Nirgrantha api, although, the api means although they are liberated, although they are free from all bondage, kurbanti ahaituking bhakti, render unconditional devotional service to Urukrami, Krishna. So that is actually at the very outset, at the very beginning, Sutta Goswami is pointing out that this topic, subject matter of this Srimad Bhagavatam, is actually meant for liberated souls. When one becomes liberated from material bondage, then only he becomes qualified or eligible to receive this transcendental knowledge. Kurbanti ahaituking bhakti. So we can see bhakti, devotional service, is the ultimate culmination of spiritual activities. There are three aspects. Karmakanda, the Vedas have three aspects. Karmakanda section of the Vedas, Jnanakanda section of the Vedas, and then finally devotional service, bhakti. So Karmakanda is directing how to enjoy. The Vedas are giving the prescriptions. Fine, you want to enjoy, go ahead. But do it in the right way. Because if you do it in the wrong way, then instead of enjoying, you'll suffer. For example, one may think, if I get a lot of money, I will enjoy. And he goes and robs a bank. He gets a lot of money, but the next day the police comes and arrests him and puts him in prison. Instead of enjoying, he starts to rot in the prison. He got the money, but because he did it in the wrong way, instead of enjoying, he suffered. Similarly, our actions, if it is performed in the right way, we'll enjoy. If we do it in the wrong way, we'll suffer. So that's what the Vedas are giving in the Karmakanda section. But in spite of all his enjoyment, when one realizes, well, I'm suffering. In spite of all my endeavor to enjoy, why I'm suffering. So that leads to the platform of liberation. Karmakanda gives bhukti or enjoyment, and Jnanakanda section of the Vedas gives mukti or liberation. But it is beyond Karmakanda and Jnanakanda, is the ultimate culmination of Vedic wisdom, brings us to the platform of bhakti. So that is what is presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, at the beginning we see Bhagavatam is actually pointing out that when one becomes totally free from all kinds of material bondage, Parama Nirmatsaranam Sata, when the heart becomes completely purified. Matsar means envy. There are 6 types of contaminations in the heart. Those, they are Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. The ultimate one is Matsarya or envy. Starting from lust, greed, anger, illusion, pride, envy. So she's saying, Vasudev is saying that Nirmatsarana, when the heart becomes totally free from envy, that means when the heart has become free from all other things, lust, greed, anger, and so forth. Now envy is gone means heart is now completely free from all these contaminations. So, Nirmad Saranam Satam. Then only one becomes qualified to be identified as a saintly personality. Satam. So saintly personality is one whose heart has become completely free from all material contaminations. Then Vedam Vastavam Atravastu. Then only he becomes qualified to Vedam, to understand Vastavam, the absolute truth, the actual reality. The actual reality is the spiritual reality. This material nature is not the actual reality. It's a reflected reality. It's real. It is real. Material nature also is real, but it's real as a reflection. So the real reality is the spiritual reality. So when you go to the spiritual world, when you become situated in the spiritual world, or the qualification of entering into the spiritual world is bhakti or devotion, service to the Supreme Lord. Without devotion, one cannot enter into the spiritual world. So pure devotion is the only qualification. And that Bhagavatam is leading us to. And this is just the beginning, Parikshit Maharaj's birth. And it's a historical discussion. This is also another consideration. Srimad Bhagavatam, unfortunately, even in India, not only even in India, mainly in India, people consider these scriptures, our scriptures, to be fairy tales. They call it mythology, myth. Myth means unreal, unreal, myth. So because they consider this is mythology, so they don't take that seriously. But the thing is, they never delve into it. There is no qualified teacher, and therefore there is no way of learning. The only qualified teacher that came is Srila Prabhupada, and he actually made us understand, scientifically made us understand, logically make us understand what Srimad Bhagavatam and the scriptures are. These are not myth, they are description. There is no difference in this description. The reality, when it is presented from 5 different sources, it will say the same thing. Like say somebody who knows you speaks about you. Won't he say that you are the son of the same father or the daughter of the same father and same mother? So that's the thing, truth from whichever perspective you say will always tally, will always say the same thing. And this is how we see Srimad Bhagavatam is saying about the Pandavas, and Mahabharata is saying about the Pandavas, Brahma Vaivarta Purana is speaking about the Pandavas. The same narration. Son of King Pandu, Kunti, what happened to them, there is no contradiction. So this is one way to see that these are all factual happenings, these are all historical facts. And hidden underneath these historical facts are the transcendental wisdom. And that wisdom is very simple. There are 2 parties, 2 sides, devotees of Krishna, non-devotees of Krishna. And we can see what a vast difference between their natures. Krishna is in the center. Krishna is practically neutral. And we see Pandavas, they are devotees, they are nature. And we see Kauravas who don't want to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And their nature. They may have a lot of material prosperity, but they suffer constantly. They can't sleep at night and digest their food. That's the problem with this kind of people. They have in all kinds of material prosperity and opulence, but they can't sleep at night and they can't digest their food. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned actually The real happy person is one who sleeps at night nicely and digests his food nicely. Material prosperity is only a secondary thing. Ultimately, the real happiness, the source of joy, is an internal thing, it's not an external thing. So, we are seeing here how Pandavas, no matter in how distressful situation they may have been to, they are happy wherever they are. They are enjoying. And they are trying to benefit everybody. They are in Ekachakra village, disguised as Brahmanas. And they saw the distress of the family that actually gave them the shelter. And the distress of the family was that they have to offer one of the family members to a demon, Rakshasa Baka. And they heard, they're discussing among themselves. That father is saying, I am old, so let me go. Then wife is saying, but no, you still are needed. I am useless, let me go. The son is saying, how can I allow my father and mother to, well, my business is to protect them, let me go. So this is how they're having conversation among themselves at the middle of the night. Then Kunti approaches them. He said, don't, you see, we are here, so my son will go and deal with him. No, my son will go as the offering. And we can see the Vedic culture is so profound, so noble. They say, you are our guest. How can we offer you to go and become a sacrifice for our sake? Then Kunti convinced them, don't worry. See, I am the mother. When I am allowing my son, when I am offering that my son should go, you can rest assured that my son knows how to deal with that. So that's how Kunti convinced them. And Bhima goes. Bhima was, actually along with Bhima went all the huge amount of food stuff to feed that demon. So Bhima went on top of a hill and he started to eat that food. So the demon came, furious to see that this offering of his is eating his food. And then finally, he was killed, I think. So wherever they were enjoying. They were enjoying. In the middle of the forest, they were enjoying. In the most distressful situation, they were enjoying. And that is the state of a devotee. His external condition, external situation doesn't really hamper his inner joy. And that joy is derived from his relationship with Krishna. So time and time again we are seeing that. And here also we see a terrible situation. Like we can see Ashwatthama, the son of a Brahmana, could be so cruel that he just went and in the middle of the night killed the sleeping children of Draupadi. He could not kill the Pandavas, 5 Pandavas. That was his intention actually. That's also a very beautiful development. Battle was lost. Battle was lost. Kauravas were defeated. Duryodhana has been defeated. Duryodhana actually ran away. And he was hiding under water. And his thing was, he was so exhausted. Naturally, after 18 days of battle, all of them were so exhausted. And he lost and he was hiding under water. So Bhima they got the news. Actually, Bhima used to have a supply of from a hunter. his food used to come from a hunter. So that hunter actually saw Duryodhana is entering into that, and he went and reported to Bhima that he is hiding there. So they went and invited him, come on, don't be a coward. You're still wearing men's clothes. And so then finally, being insulted like that, Duryodhana came out. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, noble as he was, he made an offer. So, yeah, Duryodhana said that, look, I mean, 5 of you, all of you together, don't attack me. And Yudhishthira Maharaj actually told that you can select any of us 5 to fight with. And if you can defeat him, then we'll accept defeat. You will become victorious. And we can see some novelty on Duryodhana also. He selected the most difficult opponent, Bhima. And also he had his own personal grudge against him. They had their animosity from the childhood. So anyway, like we can also understand that these are dramas arranged by Krishna, like a play on a stage. It had to be Bhima. Because also another consideration, Bhima took a vow. When Duryodhana showed his thigh indicating to Dushashan to undress Draupadi, so Bhima actually took the vow that he would break his hips. And that's what he did in the battle. So Duryodhana is lying, his spine broken. And after that, Ashwatthama and Kritavarma and anyway, 3 of them, Kripacharya, yeah, 3 of them went and saw Duryodhana's condition. They were very heartbroken. Here's a personality who ruled the whole world. Now he is lying on the ground with his spine broken, writhing in pain. And anyway, so they tried to pacify. And they were lying under a tree that night, trying to sleep. Ashwatthama couldn't sleep, and he saw at the dead of the night an owl came and killed the offsprings of some other baby birds, other birds, some baby birds on the nest. The owl came and killed those birds. So from that he got that idea. That now that they all are sleeping, let me go and kill the Pandavas. But again, by Krishna's divine arrangement, that night the Pandavas were not in the camp. And it was a very special night also. That night, Ashwatthama, by the blessings of Lord Shiva, became invincible. Nobody would be able to defeat him. That benediction he got from Lord Shiva. So that's why nobody could actually deal with him. And so he couldn't find the Pandavas, but he found the 5 sons of the Draupadi. And while they were asleep, he beheaded them. And he took their heads to Duryodhana. Wanted to pacify him that we have killed the Pandavas. But Duryodhana, I can see how powerful this person was. Like, although in that condition with his spine broken, when the heads were given, Duryodhana took the head and out of anger he crushed that head. Squeezed the head and the head crushed. And he said that this cannot be a grown-up man's head, a child's head. And Duryodhana was very upset with Ashwatthama. That, why did you do that? Like you killed those sons of Draupadi. Anyway, Mahabharata is the biggest drama. Like the most amazing drama that the world has ever seen. And so that incident is Draupadi got the news the next morning that all her 5 sons have been murdered in the dead of the night. And Arjuna is telling Draupadi that I'll get that miscreant, I'll kill him, and I'll bring his severed head to you, so that after the cremation of your sons, you can stand on his head and take your bath. Of course, the story goes on that way, or history goes on that way. When Arjuna brought Ashwatthama, Draupadi's heart melted. How can I do that to his mother? The way I am feeling today due to the loss of my sons, his mother is going to feel the same way. And then there was a big debate among Bhima, Yudhishthir, Arjuna. Bhima said, kill him. No mercy. Look what he has done. He is not an object of mercy. But Draupadi reasoned with him. No. First of all, you shouldn't kill a Brahmana. He's not a Brahmana, he's a Brahma Bandhu. He's a fake Brahmana. Besides that, he is an Atatai. He is an aggressor. He is an attacker. He killed your children when they were asleep. So all these reasons were given. Then finally it was decided, Ashwatthama had a jewel on his head from his birth. So it was decided that jewel would be severed from his head, and that will be synonymous to beheading him, chopping his head off. And so that is how the problem was solved. Ashwatthama lived, and Arjuna's promise was fulfilled. The other consideration was Arjuna took a vow that he would kill him. A Kshatriya, when he takes a vow, he must fulfill that vow. So this vow was fulfilled in this way. He take that jewel from his head, and so this is how this thing begins. Pandava, Draupadi's sons were murdered, and then the only surviving member of the family was actually Parikshit Maharaj in the womb of Uttara. Abhimanyu was already dead. In Uttara's womb was in Uttara's womb was Parikshit Maharaj. And Ashwatthama was such a abominable miscreant that in spite of being forgiven, he still wanted to take revenge. Released the Brahmastra to kill Parikshit in the womb. Krishna came and saved. So in this way we can see, like, the miscreants always try to harm the devotees, but the devotees who have taken shelter of Krishna, Krishna always protects them. So that is the important consideration. The devotees don't need to worry about their protection, their safety. Krishna will protect them under all circumstances. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol. Okay, the question is to dear GM. We have a birthday cake to share with devotees here. JPD. All these symbolic expressions. Who is JPD? Okay. Yeah. So, Yeah, Jagadanand. And I presume GM is General Motors. So, as I mentioned earlier, today is Yestil's birthday, and we have a cake here, so we'll celebrate Yestil's birthday. We're cutting the cake and singing Hare Krishna to you. Yeah. Okay, where's the cake? Wow, very nice.